Hello there, everyone. It's your boy Hunt, back with another episode of Tabletop Recap. That's right. It didn't take forever to get a new episode out. This is, the monthly thing didn't work out, so I'm just going to put them up when I feel like it. You know, if I do a bunch at once, space them out. We're just going to do when we feel like it now. Our schedules are too hectic. You know, if you're listening to this, you've probably played Dungeons & Dragons. You know what it's like getting everyone's schedules together as an adult for anything, let alone a tabletop RPG. But today we have Big Boy Chungus here with us yet again.
Greetings!
Yeah, and today we are finally going to start talking about Waterdeep Dragon Heist. Sort of. This is the Session 0 episode where we're going to introduce all of our NPCs and everything. You know, G and Matthew aren't here to introduce theirs. So, you know, Big Boy Chungus is going to do it since he's the DM. We're not really hiding backstories from each other for effect or anything now. Now it's just out in the open. It makes it easier.
The only things that are really kept hidden are anything that have to do with character development. And that is either because it is part of the story that I don't want them to know about, or I haven't written it yet.
Yeah, there's no plans for mine. She's just, it's all in the backstory. No, there's nothing. She's other than how she was conceived, she's really pretty normal, sort of. But first up, there might be some of you thinking, Descent into Avernus? Why are you starting Waterdeep Dragon Heist without finishing Descent into Avernus? Everyone's gone. Everyone's gone. Kona doesn't play anymore, and then Keocat and D-Legend, they're just so busy.
Keocat did mention recently that with her job, she may get back into playing soon. Fingers crossed. We would love to have more players back. And yes, D-Legend is very busy.
I miss having women in the group, too, because they notice things men don't, you know?
Yeah, like colors.
Yeah. It's like, they're wearing very strange colors. I think they're like, when I'm playing these games, I don't think that. When I watch movies, I consider that. But you know, the little minis on the table, I don't think about that in this game. But every time we play with women, they do. They're like, oh, those colors are the way they're dressed.
I just remember when Keocat was playing with us, it was more vibrant than it was with just all the guys around. And then when what's her new handle now? Is it still the Manager Slayer?
Yeah, Karen.
Karen, the Manager Slayer. She always adds such vibrantness to her settings whenever we were playing still.
Yeah, all our diverse players left. Oh no, are we the problem? That just hit me when I said that. I was like, oh no, only the white guys are left. Oh no. But yeah, everyone, they're just busy. They're just living the busy life, as are we. It's hard for me to get away on weekends myself, which is why we're going to record like 3 today at least.
I'm very fortunate that my job allows for free weekends, but other people's jobs are not as consistent, and that's the norm in this day and age, is just the inconsistency on when you're going to work and when you're not.
Yeah, and my job's been giving me Sundays, which is good recently because our extra busy month is over. And then some of you might be thinking, oh, well, this new Matthew guy, he can join, but there's only like 1 or 2 sessions left. And it's like, he'd make a character, and then he'd be... He
would have to make a high-level character, go through all the trouble of getting them up to like level 10 to 13, somewhere in there, and then you'd only play him for 2 sessions.
And if he generates one, well, then there's no investment. It just feels like giving him a raw hand. It feels like he wouldn't enjoy it. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about. Our enjoyment, not yours. So we're just going to wait. At some point, we are going to try to finish it. Because once again, there's only 1 or 2 sessions left, depending on just stuff, according to our DM over here.
Yeah. I could tell that a lot of players were starting to get a little burnt out from the story. So I had a plan streamlined so that we could go ahead and not skip a bunch of stuff, but just bypass a lot of filler. Yeah. And then just get to the conclusion of the story, which I think is what everyone was looking forward to.
Like towards the end when we would have to cross the map, you'd be like, oh, okay, like roll a d20. Oh, it's above like 7. You're there. You don't have to do a bunch of stuff on the way. You're just there. Because being in hell was a lot less interesting than you'd think. And after we finish it, we'll do a full review like the book. And
there was a bunch of stuff that should have happened, but either half the stuff that should have been going on was so convoluted that we just forgot about it. Like there was a whole system on how to change your alignment just by being in Avernus.
We just kept forgetting to do it.
Yeah, I kept forgetting it. And
I was trying to take a little of the blame off you, but
no. Well, I mean, there's only so you went from being a co-DM to playing, and there's only so much blame that can go for you on that. I'm the one who forgot the mechanic. But then the other thing was that because this was our first campaign for a lot of players, it was so unforgiving. And just would not have made for a fun experience. I didn't want to turn anyone away.
Yeah, it wasn't a good first campaign for a lot of people. I feel like it was pretty hardcore, and you don't get to see a lot of the world of D&D. And I guess you don't super get to in Waterdeep either. Got to connect it back.
Yeah,
but at least Waterdeep is.
I feel like it would have been better if we played some of the more lighthearted stuff, like either Strahd or Waterdeep first. Kind of get like a sense of, oh, you do live in a world, but there's other beings and other planes of existence that are far more hostile, like through the grapevine. And then when you hear about them, then you get the opportunity to go there. That would have made for a more impactful story.
Yeah, we probably should have just done Waterdeep Dragon Heist first. I'm sorry, not going to edit that out. We should probably have just done Waterdeep Dragon Heist first, and then or either that or maybe some of the like small things that we have, like I Am Your World from the Gallant Gav.
I would have loved to have done some more of the Tales from the Yawning Portal, because those are just random quests and encounters.
Yeah, just little things that they didn't want to reprint in their own book. They just put them all together. And we did do one, but then we got a bunch of new players and we didn't do anymore.
And right now, I'm comfortable enough with just making one-offs in the Forgotten Realms world that I could have probably just thrown something together and just had it run in the same universe. We would have been able to use our same characters, same stats and everything, just a non-story-based quest.
And you have so many books we haven't even touched, too.
I need to justify my purchases.
Yeah, we got to get through these, people. We got to start playing. I know we were doing it like every 2 weeks when we all had weekends off, but now I think we're just going to take any weekend we can get.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm going for. Any weekend that we're not playing, I'm just preparing for the next weekend.
Yeah, and we're recording this the week of Thanksgiving 2021, and it looks like the Sunday after Thanksgiving we're all, I think, open, so we're going to see what happens.
But enough complaining about what we want to do and what we can't do. Let's get into the meat of this podcast.
Oh yeah, that delicious salted meat. So they had a session 0 without me because I was at work, and my character's backstory and stuff was pretty much done already. I'm kind of I kind of have a bad habit of making characters way ahead of time and then like sitting on them forever. Because I've had the mini for my character. It's unpainted because when I made it, Hero Forge didn't even have the painting option. So I really jumped the gun on it. But G's going to paint it for me, I believe, for a good price. So that's Gucci gang. So we have 3 starting NPCs. If the Legend or Keocat get any time, they can, of course, make something and hop in.
And Waterdeep Dragon Heist is so forgiving and just such a friendly starting environment that they can literally just say, I want to play, and I can insert them anytime.
It's also a friendly sharding environment. That's where the laugh track goes. I outsource this to an editor. That's where the laugh track goes. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, so how about you tell us about Session 0 and the first 2 characters, and then we'll do my character.
All right,
later.
So we'll start with Matt's character, I suppose. We have Vorn Tornacle, a drow rogue with the criminal background.
I know it sounds cliche, but just give it a sec.
So Vorn is I wouldn't say stereotypical, but he's a pretty safe character. He was originally from the Underdark. If you know anything about drow society, it is very much a matriarchal society. So he left. He didn't like dealing with all the repression. And so he decided to take his little crime shtick up to the surface, where he met his contact by the name of Simon Deep Delver. Simon is from Waterdeep, who came across Vorn on a job.
Someone seriously just start mowing their lawn.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Anyways.
At least it's up the hill from here.
Simon came into contact with Vorn on one of his jobs and said, "Hey, I like your chops, kid. Why don't you come to this city, meet my bosses, and we'll find you some work." And so that was his reason for going to the city of Waterdeep to begin with. Next is...
That's it? That was faster than I thought it would be.
Well, to give you some context, this is Matt's first time as a rogue. Most of the time he plays spellcasters with other groups that he's played with. At least that's what he's told us.
And he switched to our group because his group never finishes a campaign, which is very funny because we just didn't finish Descent into Avernus, and he was like, they look like they can hold a campaign down. We just didn't finish.
Well, for the record, we're still doing better. I think he said they haven't finished like 4 or 5 campaigns, and we've only unfinished 1.
Yeah. I mean,
so there's still hope for us.
We finished everything except Karen's unnamed campaign and
how does that not have a name yet? I just realized it doesn't have a name.
It probably does. We just didn't bother to ask because Woman wrote it.
I thought it was because I kept steering the campaign off course.
No. I think it's just because it was so large and kind of free form in a way that I think that we were just like, oh, it's Karen's 1 to 20, and we just kind of did because it was so free form.
But so yeah, this is Matt's first character. It's kind of safe, but he is playing the class of rogue very well. He's not being a hindrance to the party. He's
kind of one of those thieves with a heart of gold of sorts.
I wouldn't say a heart of gold, but he definitely has a conscience. He realizes that you can get more money out of a warm body than a cold one, and he realizes that he can have more opportunities by working with people than going solo. So he's at least being smart about his play style and role play. But that's pretty much it for his character. Next, we have T32RY, or Terry, the Warforged Barbarian, played by G. Now, G he has the urban bounty hunter background, so he's very similar to Vorn, who has the criminal background. But whereas Vorn causes crimes, G's character is trying to stop them. He has a contact by the name of Brina Sparks Knackle, a gnomish priestess of Gond, also known as a religious inventor/artificer. And she is actually not his creator. She is a friend of his creator named Gimgin Eversharp, and he has gone missing. G's character is basically an automaton who woke up one day in a workshop, realized that his prime directive, find and protect his creator, was activated. Creator was nowhere to be found, but yet as he tries to fulfill his prime directive, he kind of notices that he's got some free will elements. He can kind of make choices and discern people on his own. At least that's what his programming makes it look like. He does have a few connections in Waterdeep, but it's mainly due to his programming and with being linked to Brina. Because many people will make jokes about him saying, like, "What, were you born or made yesterday?" And he'll say, yes I was.
Yeah, maybe you saw the meme on our... follow us on Twitter. Twitter at B3 Productions, B3 Productions. After each session, I post like a 4-panel format meme that's like, oh, spoilers from the session without context, and that's one of the ones.
Now, Vorn, I think, is going more with the traditional thief rogue class. At level 1, there's not really a lot to your class. Usually at level 3, you start seeing your subclass emerge. But we were talking, and he does want to be more of a traditional thief. He doesn't want to be a arcane sorcerer or anyone who uses magic. He wants to be a traditional criminal. Meanwhile, G, when he was telling me what he wanted his class to be like, he wanted to be not a bounty hunter. He wanted to be a prototype for a law enforcement android or robot that goes and stops wizards who may be causing problems in Waterdeep.
And if you're listening, you might be like, Barbarian, though?
Well, he wanted a martial
it makes sense
class.
to me. I'm saying that from like the...
Well, the main
listener.
reason he chose Barbarian, for those of you who have ever seen the Iron Giant, he was kind of going for a design similar to that. Basically, we flavor his quote-unquote rage as entering attack or offensive mode. His eyes go red. This visor protrudes down around his face area, and he has bits of armor plating that protrude from within his arms, legs, and torso to cover his outer body. That justifies the reduced damage he takes and the more damage he deals back.
And I actually think that's really cool, because a lot of people, when they play Barbarian, they'll just be like, okay, let's just rage right now, get it over with. And it's like he has to meet a roleplay condition to rage, which I think is very fun and unique.
Yes. He doesn't rage traditionally. He never loses his cool, but he becomes more threatening. Like, he has to, one, assess that there is a threat level worthy of raging, and then he has to go through all the mechanics of raging, which is the armor, face covers, and the weapons. His weapons, by the way, also protrude from his body. Like, he has 2 hand axes where the handles protrude out of his forearms and the blades pop out of the back of his wrists, and a great axe which comes disassembled from his back area and then assembles as he gets ready to rage.
And that doesn't mean he can't be disarmed. It just means that it's flavored in a different way. And
yes,
stuff. It's no real advantage.
He actually did, one party member rolled a crit fail, and he actually did have some pieces of him knocked off.
Yeah. We'll get to that, because the next episode, our session was way longer than usual. Which is dope, and that seems to be like it's going to be the precedent.
But the reason why I brought up all that stuff about G's character, Terry, was because he's going for what's called a wild magic barbarian, and before I go into all that flavoring, it's actually a really cool barbarian that uses wild magic as its main mechanic, and we think we found a really cool way of incorporating that into a mechanical body, rather than just having a crazy elf run around slinging half-baked spells.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I remember when you were describing this to me, and you were like, oh yeah, he just kind of wakes up, he doesn't know what it's about, but he can then rage, and then a bunch of weapons come out, and I was like, that's the Iron Giant. Yeah, so now we're always just describing
when the Iron Giant goes into that catatonic state because his little buddy got injured, and all of a sudden he has all the weapons coming out of his chest, arms, and head, that's pretty much what he will be at when he gets to higher levels. He will be incredibly dangerous, and half the time he won't be able to control it.
At the end of the campaign, he's just going to go super bad and just blow himself up with the BBEG for sure.
His character, everyone's character is going to be really fun in their own way, but he is going to have he's the closest thing we have to an actual magic user in the party right now.
Oh yeah, because I don't have any.
But and I say right now, he will be once we get leveled up. But anyways, let's talk about your character.
Oh yeah, my sheet is right here. It's under the laptop I'm recording with, which was not a smart move. All right. So here is the sheet for Mara, daughter of Steph Burr. I think she's pretty unique. We've mentioned her before in previous stuff. She is a half-human lizard folk fighter. And some of you might feel like, a half-human lizard folk? How did you do that? It's just lizard folk stats.
It's the Forgotten Realms D&D. Magic can do whatever I say it can.
Yeah, we just... It's not anything different stat-wise. We didn't homebrew like a half-human lizard folk. It's just the lizard folk stats, but role-played with more human emotions and stuff. That's it. Yeah. That's it. We weren't going to do anything fancy. So she's like... since she is half-human, though, she's got some more human curves.
She does not have human anatomy. She just happens to have human proportions in certain areas, such as the hips and upper chest.
She's got breasts.
But not mammalian breasts. It's just protruding.
It's more like her hormones make fat deposit there, but she can't breastfeed.
Anyways, this is going to get creepy. So
yeah. It's very weird. It's not a fetish thing. I promise it's not. I'm a scientist, okay? So when I was pitching this character Like, Big Boy Chungus here was like, it sounds a little weird, and I was like, okay, then let me explain her entire biology to you. And then you were like, yeah, I mean, that sounds like it makes sense. Sure, you can play her. I was like, woo.
Just don't make it weird, and just keep her with the lizard folk stats.
The reason she looks like that is because sometimes when I'm coming up with a character, and I don't really have an idea that I'm big on, I'll just jump on Hero Forge and just play around with it until I make someone that looks cool, and then I'll be like, okay, what's their story? And that's how I came up with her. I just was playing on Hero Forge, and I ended up with like a slender lizard woman in kind of like a genie belly dancery Arabian outfit. She's got like pants. It's more the top that's belly dancery. You'll see her once she's fully painted and everything. We'll post pics on the B3 Productions Twitter and etc. I don't know if I'm going to keep using the Tabletop Recap Facebook page because I don't like Facebook. I think I'm just going to use Twitter and Patreon. Follow us on Patreon. So we've got her, and she has short red hair. It kind of looks Scarlett Johansson 2012 Avengers
it's
looking
about,
hairdo.
Neck, jawline length.
Yeah, it's like exactly the hairdo Black Widow from.
And does she have little frills on the side of her head? I noticed on the miniature that there was something sticking out.
Yeah, she does have ears, unlike a normal lizard folk. She does have ears. Yes.
It's not like ears like a human. It's more like head frills, I guess, if you want to call it that. I don't know what the correct term is for that kind of...
Their ears, they just kind of look like fins because they're reptilian.
Gotcha.
So, her story starts before she's ever born. Her father, Stefber, moderately well-known adventurer. No one lore-breaking. You know, like someone who's well-known in his hometown of Waterdeep, but outside of that, you know, maybe just you hear him in stories that have other adventurers in them.
Very, very experienced.
Yeah, experienced, but not like fame. Yeah. Someone, you know, I didn't want to give myself like a super famous level 20 godfather or anything.
Yeah, they hang out there, Midoriya.
Yeah. So, he's on his way to a quest. And he stops to camp in this lizard folk village, and he like kills a deer and brings it. And he's like, "Hey, can I camp out here where it's a bit more cozy than the rest of the swamp? If I, let you have this deer?" And they're like, "Yeah, that's practical. That makes sense. I mean, you're paying us with food. Sure. There's one night. Why wouldn't we?" So they do, but they're lizards, and it's mating season. And one of the lady lizards is like, "Hey, this guy is like a tough, rough and tumble adventurer who like fights monsters and stuff for a job. He's great at surviving. If my kid has his genes, my kid will be great at surviving. And that is what my instincts tell me I should do." So she presents herself in all her lizard glory to him, and he's like, "A hole's a hole. I could die tomorrow.
Oh, no.
I could die tomorrow. Why not, right?" So, he has adult relations with... Did I mention that I wasn't going to keep it as PG as much?
Yeah, you did.
I think I mentioned that in the last episode. When I have guests who want to keep it full PG, I will. But, I mean, I don't think I've said anything super inappropriate in this story.
No.
So, then he goes on, has his adventure, and on the way back, he's like, "Hey, maybe I'll stay in that town again. It was a little, I can... have a little tiny hut roof over my head, maybe get some lizard hole again." And then he goes in, and he goes to her to see if he can hook up, and she has this egg, and it's like too big, like it's a big egg, bigger than a lizard hole egg probably should be. And he's like, "Oh, that's a big old egg. You have a mate?" And she's like, "No, this is your egg." He says, "Oh no." Because, he didn't even think he could get her pregnant, and who would, right? But, and then he's like, "Oh, man, I gotta, stay in this village and settle down and help you raise this child." And then she's like,
"No.
Why? That doesn't make any sense. Marriage? What is that? What are you talking about? The community's gonna raise them. They're whatever after they hatch. My instincts turn off after that." And he's like, "That's not cool." "No, I'm going to be there for my daughter." And they're like, all the lizard people are like, if you live here, it's gonna be weird, man. It's gonna be odd. And he's like,
you and all your emotions.
And he's like, okay, what if I take this, half human that might also have these same emotions that you might not super know how to raise, and I take them and I raise them. And the lizards are like, we don't care. We're lizards. So he decides to go to his hometown and, just kind of retire on his adventuring stuff. Maybe, write some books about adventuring with his stories and how to do it. Just, to kind of keep the lamps lit. And he walks into town with this big old egg that's, growing. Like a child within a womb, which doesn't make sense. But, it's a magical world. Who cares,
Magic.
right? Yeah, who cares? And everyone in town is like, whoa, are those the spoils of your adventure? Wow, is that like a dragon's egg or the egg of some hideous beast? And he's like, this is my kid, actually.
He's like, behold my child.
It's like, yeah, don't talk about my kid like that. And they're like, excuse? You're what? So, she hatches and she's a half-human lizard gal. Who's just, hatched and raised in Waterdeep. She just has a really unique biology and story of conception.
Yeah, she's kind of awkward, both in growing up and as a young adult, I guess if you want to call it that.
Oh yeah, she's the most fun to play. If I died and some big eldritch monstrosity showed up and to my soul and was like, hey, for your afterlife, you get to just kind of run around as one of your favorite D&D characters you played. Which one? And out of all the ones I played, I'd probably pick her because she's so much fun. She's very optimistic, energetic. She does a nice little fight. She's always wanted to be an adventurer, but she works in... She's a courier, basically. She delivers mail.
Yeah, we decided to give her the guild merchant background because that, being a Waterdeep citizen, that was the most fitting. We did kind of have to make up a guild, although the book does encourage that if none of the already existing guilds work for you, you're more than welcome to make your own. So she works for the esteemed guild of postmasters as a courier, pretty much just with her cart and trusty mule companion, Horseburger.
Horseburger, best name for a mule. It's great because she's a hybrid, he's a hybrid. He can't nut. Well, he can nut, but he can't. Okay, so let's move on from there. But yeah, she's always wanted to be an adventurer, and then she kind of gets the opportunity here in her own hometown of Waterdeep, and she's very excitable and loud, and kind of just says what she thinks, but what she thinks is usually pretty innocent. Usually. She's kind of naive. She's 20. And a lot of you might be like, oh, that's adult. It's like, okay, you're young then, because I'm almost 30, and I can tell you 20-year-olds aren't you don't turn 18 and you're instantly smart.
Yeah, no, 20-year-olds, we may have adult bodies, but the mind is still of a younger person.
I'm not insulting anyone, I'm just saying judgment's still a little impaired.
And I think anyone who has gone above the age of 20 will agree with us.
Yeah, because legally you're an adult at 18, but that's just so the government can exploit you to fight for them overseas. No,
they need that oil.
But,
more oil.
Yeah, you're not actually an adult until you're sometime in your early 20s.
When I was going through my master's degree program, we had to take a slight psychology course, and scientifically, the human mind is not fully matured. Stops growing until about the age of 24 or 25. So
yeah.
Your character's still got a little bit of maturing to do.
But also, lizard folk have the same life expectancy as humans, but they mature faster. But I'm kind of going more human for her in that respect.
Yeah, we'll talk about this in the next session. You had a nice roleplay moment.
I know it seems like her character's getting more attention and stuff, but that's just because I'm her player and I'm here, and none of the other players are
I guarantee you, if Matt and G were here, we would be talking a lot more about Terry and Vorn. I don't want to say too much to risk giving away potential, backstory stuff.
Yeah, we're not hiding anything from each other.
I'm more worried about giving away plot points for the characters, because one thing that I love about Waterdeep is that, unlike Avernus, where everything is pretty much you're tossed in an open world, but everything is fairly linear as to where you can go. Everyone experiences the same thing. Everyone can go in a different direction in Waterdeep. There's so many twisting paths and development arcs that a character can go down, whether they're good, neutral, or evil, chaotic, lawful, or true neutral. And I don't want to give anything away just yet.
Yeah, I mean, Mara's got her flaws too. She sure as hell stands out in a crowd.
She's also the only known lizard folk, not only in Waterdeep, just anywhere, that is only half lizard folk.
Yeah, that's...
She would technically be classified as a monstrosity if it weren't for the fact that she is so lawful and kind.
Yeah, she's well known around town, not because of anything she's done, but just because she exists.
Yeah. In fact, when we play the campaign, some NPCs will say, "Hey, aren't you that lizard girl that lives in the southern ward?" Or, "Hey, don't you work for the mail company?" "Yeah, you're that lizard courier."
"Oh, you're that adventurer's daughter. I can tell because you have scales."
I was thinking more just bright red hair protruding from the scales.
Yeah, for sure. It's whack. But she's also, overly friendly. She can kind of be a little overbearing. She's romantically desperate. Not I mean, come on.
She's not a yandere.
I don't know what that means.
It's basically one of those creepy stalker females in Japanese culture.
Okay. I've never heard that word before. Probably because I watch anime dubbed, and I probably hear it translated fully or something.
There's a Steam game based on it that's been in development for years. It's really weird.
There's probably a bunch of Steam games based on it that you just don't know about. I don't know.
Anyways.
I don't remember. Oh, yeah.
We were talking about your character being desperate.
Yeah, so if someone tried to manipulate her via romance, she would absolutely fall for it. Because she's never had any romance. Because she lives in a town that's mammal people. And she's only half mammal people. Because elves are mammals, dwarves are mammals, gnomes are mammals. Most of the core species of the sentients are mammals. So,
kind of going on to a different topic, one more thing that I forgot to mention about each character is each character does have a friendly acquaintance in Waterdeep. Your character being a local, you have your kind of pick of the litter.
And you did say you wanted a local for this campaign. I thought mine was a good fit for that.
Yeah, it definitely helps from what I've seen and read in settings like this, where if everyone's a foreigner, the roleplay can be really cool trying to figure everything out, but if everyone just wants to get bogged down with details, it can be really monotonous. So I thought that by having one person, if everyone wanted to be a local, we could do that. But G wanted to have someone who was literally born the day before the campaign.
Technically is a local, just it doesn't help him.
Yeah. And then Vorn is a complete new person to Waterdeep. So I thought having someone who was a local and has been around the block a while would be very helpful, both for roleplay and world building.
Yeah, I mean, aside from maybe some deliveries just outside the border, she's never really left the city.
And you actually did provide... Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I'm finished.
You did have some advantage rolls on history checks regarding Waterdeep's populace and infrastructure, which came in handy. But again, we'll get to those when we actually do the proper session 1.
And I got a peek at the code legal beforehand too. And then I was the first one to break it. But
well, as long as you don't get caught, it's not illegal.
Probable cause, that'll make sense later.
But yeah, everyone got a friendly acquaintance. Mira, you chose Jalister Silvermane, who is a friendly-faced patron of the Yawning Portal Tavern. Was just giving you some helpful information about what was the what are the going-ons of the city, but he seemed a little distracted as of late. You could tell that his attention wasn't fully on you.
I don't remember that at all.
Well, that's fine, because we didn't really do a whole lot of exploring.
Yeah.
This is mainly stuff that I'm reading out of the Waterdeep book.
Boys' attention should always be on Mara. She is a queen.
You did seek attention, though. You did a really good job of role-playing. Not clingy desperate, but just like throwing yourself out there, seeing what sticks.
She will be a part of that conversation. If she can be.
Terry, G's character, became acquainted with Obaya Uday, also a foreigner from Waterdeep, but she has been in the city long enough to kind of get the scoop on where the various, magical items, loot, and dangerous dungeons are. She is a philanthropist who seeks items of value so that she can send them back to her boss outside of the city proper. And then
sounds like she should be talking to Mara then.
Well, the book says to let you guys choose.
Yeah.
This isn't someone, again, they're just an acquaintance. This isn't someone you've known your whole life. This is just someone that you know exists and are on good terms with to start.
Of George.
And then Vorn chose Yargra Stonefist, a half-orc fighter who regularly goes to the Yawning Portal to do various business dealings and is more than willing to participate in any scrapes that might pop up in the bar. So as long as she doesn't kill anybody and no property's damaged, she's more than welcome to stay there. And Vorn seemed to take a shine to her.
Yeah, like right away he was very loyal and stuff in the beginning, and I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be good.
Yeah,
he's not going to be that good. Perfect.
Yeah, in fact, when we get to Session 0, he was the only one...
Well, this is Session 0.
So with Session 1, when we get to that, he was the only person to check and make sure that everything was okay with his acquaintance.
Yeah, Mara has ADHD, just straight up. She pretty much just has ADHD. And, I do in real life, so it's very easy to play her that way.
There were a few times also where, speaking of not paying attention and stuff, I was a little concerned because G's character, Terry, when we were doing roleplay, would be quiet for extended periods of time, and I was starting to feel bad because I'm like, oh, I hope I'm not neglecting him. I don't want him feeling left out of the roleplay. When in reality, because he's virtual, I can't see him face to face or what he's doing or his expressions. He was intentionally staying quiet, assessing a situation as a programmed robot would.
Yeah, because like in Avernus, G's character was very much the leader of the group for sure. He was front of the party, took the initiative in conversation, not the role initiative, but like the actual initiative roleplay wise. And now he's just like, yeah, I'll speak when spoken to.
And he does react when necessary, so he is definitely doing a good job of role-playing the mechanical side of his character.
And the new guy, Matthew's not shy at all. He's great. Me joining a group of people I didn't know, I would be shy at first for sure, I think. But he's not, so that's really dope. It's really good. He's an easy guy to talk to. He's a good guy. He is a good guy, Greg. I really liked hanging with him.
But that pretty much wraps up the character introductions for our first session. We can talk a little bit about some of the world leading up to Session 1 if you want, or do you want to save that until the next podcast?
I think we can just jump into Session 1, Part 1, because Session 1 was so long. What did we play for, like 6.5 hours?
6 hours, including a break.
Yeah,
but
30-minute break. So we're going to separate the first session into 2. And I liked it. I had the energy for it. That's probably just because you and I are getting fit now, so we have more energy. That's nice. And people that... and it's nice to have people who are like, yeah, I'll put the whole day aside for the group if I can. I mean, obviously we all have responsibilities. Like, I had to mail some stuff today before I could come over. But yeah, it'll be good. Before we go, do you want to talk about any new stuff you've gotten? Because it looks like you've gotten a ton of new gaming stuff. Just
I
tons.
have. So some of the most recent stuff that I've gotten, I've got the Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. That will be invaluable when we start our Curse of Strahd campaign. But also for home.
Yeah, I'm glad we waited on it, and then that book came out, and now we're like, oh, dope.
Yeah, and the place that I got it, they sell exclusively the alternative covers, so they're not too difficult to get at a reasonable price.
And there's a new collectible shop with a lot of D&D and gaming stuff that just opened here in your town.
Yeah, so let me break this down. So we've got the Van Richten's Guide, and I also got the Wild Beyond the Witchlight. More stuff that I plan on using for the pre-written and homebrew stuff.
You got Codex 9?
Yes, I got Codex 9 of the Orcs for Warhammer 40k.
That's 9th edition, right? Is that what that means?
I believe this is the 9th and most recent edition, yes.
Tell us the story about going to get it, because I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, so I've been trying to find a physical codex for the Orcs for a while. And I started getting into Warhammer. G got me into it, but G's been into it a little bit longer than me.
I am intentionally avoiding it because I cannot afford it.
That's actually why I'm going for the larger individual units as opposed to all the really tiny ones.
And why it's been taking you guys so long to get started.
Yeah, but so I was looking for a physical Orc Codex for the longest time, and I was getting to the point where I was like, just give me an 8th edition Codex. I need to know how these orcs work. I want to play with G more and maybe go to some comic shops and set up some quick games. Not that there's any such thing as a quick game of Warhammer.
Or of anything these days.
But I wanted to get into it, and I was tired of waiting. So I was out of town with G, and there's several comic book shops that are in his area, but the biggest one that we went to, I went up to the guy behind the counter. I said, hey, I've been looking for a while. I've gone to 3 other different stores. Do you guys have any Orc Codexes at all? He says, well, we don't have any on the shelves. And I said, bummer. He said, but we do have the latest Codex behind the counter that we can legally sell tomorrow.
You were like, wait, there's a new one coming out tomorrow? Like you didn't even know.
No, I figured, I figured, because at this point they've already released several 9th edition codexes for other factions, like the Marines, and I think some of the Eldar, which are the elves, have gotten their 9th edition codex, but I knew nothing about the release date for orcs. And orcs are one of those factions where they have a cult level following. They're not the least popular, but they're not nearly as possible as like the Marines, which make up at least 50% of everything in that universe.
If only there was some kind of online engine you could use to search for information about these things.
I looked on Games Workshop's webpage along with various forums, and for whatever reason, no one was posting the release date for this codex. They just said sometime in 2021. And as far as I know, that could have been in before New Year's, for all I knew. So I walked in and I said, hey, do you guys have any codexes for orcs? He said, yeah, we've got the newest one in the back. We can't sell it to you until tomorrow, though. And I'm like, yes. I go to G and I'm like, we're coming back here first thing in the morning. We are not letting them sell out.
In fact, we're going to Walmart. We're going to get a tent and we're going to sleep right here.
If I'd have thought they were going to sell it that fast, I might have actually... Well, we were close by anyways. But we come back the next morning, and not only do they have 10 fresh, hot off the press codexes ready to go, fresh off a shipment, but they had half a dozen boxes of all the new miniatures and game stuff to go with it. They had just released a new combat patrol, a bunch of new elite units, and I think at least 1 or 2 new vehicles, one of which I want, the battle wagon.
Oh, yeah. You've got a ton of new D&D minis, too.
Yes.
You bought that, what is that, Demon Devil? What is that up there?
It's a demon. So it's not a Nolzur's miniature, and it is not a pre-painted WizKids model. There's a shop where I live. They've been open for about 8 months, but I've...
Oh, no, I meant the one on the very tippy top.
Oh, yes. No, that one is a pre-painted premium figure. That is... Let me... double check the name real quick. That is Archdevil Garyon. Yes.
So Snake Boy.
Yeah, Garyon is one of the big boys in Avernus. He resides in one of the middle layers. He's got the lower half of a snake, large pit fiend wings, sharp claws, and a demonic horn that he uses to call on minions for battle. Very, very nice.
You've gotten a bunch of boosters. You pulled the zombie T-Rex.
Got the zombie T-Rex.
That's good. We'll need that.
I did buy 1 or 2 boxes of the... I forget what it's called, but it's basically Icewind Dale Part 2, the miniature set. And I pulled a Warforged Titan, which is an Eberron miniature that was included with a bunch of the stuff from the Forgotten Realms.
Pretty cool.
I'm going to use him along with one of my Orc miniatures once I get it painted up to have like this cool mech battle for a homebrew I'm working on.
And then there was the unpainted one I interrupted you about.
Yes. The shop that's been around for about 8 months but largely went unnoticed by me. I finally saw it the other day, and they have more stuff now apparently than when they used to, because when I saw these unpainted miniatures, like, man, that's really good quality. And he said, yeah, I make these here in the shop. There's a website you can go to, and he gave me the website. He said if you see, they release new models each month. So like they'll have like 24 new models that they make each month, and if there's any that you like, I can print them out here for you, and you can just pick them up. And I got a large miniature, large relative to pre-painted miniature sizes, for like $3,
which is a good price. And does it does he only do them from that website, or can you just bring him any file for a 3D print?
As far as I know, it's mostly to the website, but I'm sure there's a way if I ask him, like if I could ship him something from Hero Forge, he could print it out there.
Yeah, because you can just get the digital file from Hero Forge. You don't have to have them print and paint.
Yeah. I think he does do stuff like that, but
I mean, he probably would.
I wanted to give him a little bit of patronage, show him that I am interested in the stuff that he was making. So I gotta
keep those game stores alive, you know.
I got a miniature, and me being the dice goblin that I am, I bought a new set of dice.
Oh, you did? I didn't know you bought a new set of dice.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell because
they're all mixed together. Yeah.
I just add it to the horde.
Okay. Yeah, you've gotten a ton of new stuff. I haven't gotten any new gaming stuff at all. Nothing.
With the holidays going on, I try not to buy a lot of big stuff. I'll buy a set of dice. I'll buy a single miniature, no problem. But, you know, with the holidays, I try not to do any big ticket items for myself until afterwards. That way, if I get anything that I want during the holidays, or if I need to get something for a family member or friend, I'm not going over budget.
Oh, I like 4 months ago, I did get that Universal Monsters Horrified game, because that's like, Universal Monsters is like, it's not my favorite film franchise, but it's my favorite film series, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, just looking at the films, it's my favorite film series, not looking at things outside the films, like TV shows, comics, merch, etc. But, yeah, it's like a Universal Monsters, Universal Horror game. It was like $7 on clearance at Walmart, and I was like, oh, wow, this is on clearance for $7, along with every Shang-Chi toy before the film even came out. And then that movie was a hit, and I was like, bet you regret that now, don't you, Walmart? But yeah, so I got that, but I haven't played it yet.
Yeah, I've got I'm actually not as interested in buying individual pre-painted minis as much as I used to. I've got a fairly substantial collection for both monsters and NPCs.
Yeah.
I'm mainly interested in the premium figures now. I've got Bahamut, I've got Archdevil Garyon, the Zariel miniature that I've got, and which was also shown in the unboxing video on YouTube.
Oh yeah, check out the Beat 3 Productions YouTube page.
That's not a premium miniature, but it's so rare it might as well be, so I've got it on the same tier.
She would have been one that she probably should have been a premium miniature, honestly, but yeah, it's a good thing you pulled her. And then we quit the campaign and never got to use her.
And then I've got Chief
We didn't quit, but...
Yeah, Chief Guh from the Storm King's Thunder, which we can run immediately after Waterdeep Dragon Heist if we want to.
Same characters?
Same characters.
I'd love that, because I don't want to use Mara in Dungeon of the Mad Mage.
So Storm King's Thunder...
I want to use Mara in something travel-y, and that's travel-y. That'd be perfect.
Storm King's Thunder, Tomb of Annihilation, and...
Yeah.
Dungeon of the Mad Mage are the 3 sequel campaigns that I'm going to recommend after our Waterdeep campaign, because one, those are campaigns that are all you're required to be at a higher level for those anyway. or you can start at a higher level if you want to.
Starting Curse of Strahd at 5 might not be bad. I've heard a lot of people say you should start it at 5 anyways.
I've heard 3, and that's only because people talk such garbage about the Death House, and that they say just skip it and go straight to level 3.
It's up to you, man. You're the...
But I'll as usual, I will leave it up to the players. But if you guys want to use your same characters from Waterdeep and not start fresh at level 1 or level 3 with a new character, I would say those 3 are the ones that would be best accommodated because, again, meant for higher levels and just continue on.
Yeah, we can just vote to see if we want to continue with the characters, which will probably be a resounding yes. And then we can go into something else. But because I feel like Mara's next logical step after Waterdeep will be world traveling and not descending into a pit. So,
yeah, and unfortunately, that's the Dungeon of the Mad Mage is nothing new to people of Waterdeep. The Undermountain, as it's called, it is the largest dungeon in the world. That is a fact for both the D&D game and in world. 15 levels of nothing but death, monsters, and things that want to kill you.
And some kissable little fellas.
Yeah, I'm sure for Mira.
Some kissable little boys.
Anyways, you just lost my train of thought. But yeah, pretty much you're not leaving Waterdeep proper. You're just diving into the deepest part of it. And the only place to go once you've gotten to the very end of the dungeon is just back up with your loot.
Yeah, I don't see her going straight down into that. I see her wanting to experience the world. She's so outgoing and stuff.
I could see Mira either doing really well, either fighting giants or trying to tame the jungle of Chult.
Between the two of us, you and I got a bunch of giant minis.
Oh yeah, I did get to use a couple of those in our Descend into Avernus campaign. It's just a shame I never got to use more of them.
We'll get around to them. We can pretend that skeletal frost giant's just a Rego one.
Actually, if it comes to it, I would totally be down to buy the Frost Giant Premium Miniature for Rime of the Frost Maiden, the one that comes with the Mammoth Mount and is interchangeable.
Oh yeah, I forgot that existed. I love
But the problem with that one is I will also need to make room for that because that one is more or less to scale with how Frost Giants actually are.
This little gaming room's getting packed.
Yeah, it is. I need to expand at some point.
Yeah, I think a couple of these things we could probably move out of here. I don't know. I'll help you do whatever you want. I love this little room though. It is a nice room. But that's probably it for today. I'm probably not going to get any new gaming stuff really. I've gotten a bunch of the 25th anniversary Pokemon cards recently, but I'll probably do a podcast over my thoughts on the full set at some point. But I don't know. That might be one of the ones I do by myself when we don't have time to meet. Save it for then.
And we'll also have to do some reviews on the stuff that we've covered so far, like Descent into Avernus. I'd like to do just an episode. You, me, G, maybe
whoever's
here available. Go over that.
She's a little nervous, Nancy. I doubt she'd ever want to be on the podcast, poor thing.
Fair enough, but just to kind of go over it, look at some of the stuff that the players might have missed, some alternative story lanes that they could have gone down, as well as some secrets that were overlooked.
Maybe. We'll see. We at least want to review it and say what we thought of it and if we recommend it and stuff. But I kind of feel like it's odd to do that without finishing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's I say at some point.
But we did finish some other things, so maybe we can do it for those. But that is it for today. That was nearly an hour. That was good. We got all the little extra things out of the way so we could just jump into the session 1 because it was a long session, and I'm very glad that hopefully we can have longer sessions now. But that is it. Thank you all once again for your support. And if you want to support us even more, I definitely recommend Patreon. And that Patreon, it's not just tabletop recap stuff, but it is a lot of tabletop recap stuff because I think I'm just going to stop using the Facebook page. I don't like Facebook. I don't like how Facebook handles pages for things that aren't like personal profiles. So I'm just going to put it all on there, and then some stuff on Twitter. So follow us on Twitter at B3 Productions. You can follow our Patreon. If there's links, if you can access the links, they're all in the link tree. The Patreon's B3 Productions as well. Definitely hop on, have a good time. And that Patreon is also for like all our YouTube channels and other podcasts and books that I'm working on, and basically just all of our artistic endeavors condensed into one Patreon, so there's not one for each project, because that would be dumb. But that's it. Thank you all once again for your support, and we'll see you all next time.